Shalom, family. It's good to see you all here. We're going to go over this story many of you are familiar with now, and this is happening in my neck of the woods. I'm very close to Mount Laurel, and I got some more, the local news is going to give you a lot more than national news when it comes down to these kind of situations. So I am going to show you two videos, and then I'm going to tell you about what's going on in the local paper about the incident. So just sit back. You're going to enjoy these videos and get a good laugh out of this dude. He is seriously screwed up. For real. He is seriously screwed up. You're going to see how screwed up he is. So let me see if I can get this set up. Yeah, it'll be fine. Let me share my screen. Now, this is the local news. This first video I'm showing you is from ABC Channel 6 Action News out of Philadelphia. That's the local station here. So please give me a 1 if you can see my screen. Okay. Thank you, everybody. Thank you so much. Let's go ahead and get started. Okay, let me get the sound.
The big story in Action News is the anger and outrage over an explosive interaction between neighbors. Protesters gathered outside of a home in Mount Laurel today after a man was captured on video shouting offensive and racist slurs at his neighbors. The man now faces harassment and biased intimidation charges. Action News reporter Christy Leto is live in Mount Laurel tonight with the full story. Christy.
That's right, Rick. And you can also add assault to those charges. Now, police have actually pushed us a ways back from the scene, but it is still very active. And that is because after they took Edward Mathews into custody, his home and some adjacent homes were actually vandalized. Police have confirmed to us that they've received complaints about Mathews before. And some residents feel this could have been avoided had it been addressed in the past.
Flanked by a large crowd of protesters calling for his arrest, Edward Cagney Mathews walked out of his home surrounded by Mount Laurel police. Water bottles and ice were hurled at Mathews and the officers, who essentially shielded him from the projectiles.
It was a difficult situation to extract him, but unfortunately some in the crowd made it much more dangerous for everybody.
As the squad car left the Essex Place complex, officers in riot gear moved in. Mathews is the man now charged with bias, intimidation, and assault, stemming from a now viral video that shows him nonchalantly hurling the N-word multiple times at his neighbors. New video even details the moments before it escalated, showing him knocking on his neighbor's door, demanding the husband come out and speak with him.
I have the right to be here. Get your husband.
When another neighbor interceded on that couple's behalf, that's when it exacerbated, most of the video too graphic to play.
It's not Africa. Oh, this is Africa. Not South America or wherever you were. I was born in America.
How many of us could show the restraint that this gentleman did? And he didn't deserve that. Nobody should ever feel unsafe or intimidated or discriminated against in their own house.
There is nothing that I'm going to be able to say that's going to justify me using the words that I use. Whatever I need to do to make the community and the world at this point, see how big it is? Understand that I made a mistake, allow me the ability to move forward, just like we all deserve.
Police confirm they've received complaints about Mathews before. This woman didn't want to show her face, but says he vandalized her home right before the now viral encounter with her neighbor.
Sad, because it should not be that many. If the justice system had done their work earlier, like I previously said, he would not be here at this point in time.
And again, Mathews apologized for what he said. He is behind bars until he is going to be arraigned sometime in the next few days. Meanwhile, police remain here on scene throughout the evening.
All right. So let me stop this video. And you heard what was said, right?
Neighborhood up.
You heard what was said. He apologized. Now, at this point, would you accept an apology from this person? It's BS. It's a BS apology. See, he was talking all that shit about how the police had his back and he's white, so the police is gonna, listen to him. So let me just tell y'all what's happening locally. The DA of Burlington County has stepped in and they are reviewing the tape again, and they said more charges are coming. Now, he did get hit with an additional charge of assault, but the DA said more is coming. And a lot of people are raising an eyebrow, and this issue is being raised. What kind of damn relationship did he have with the police where they looked the other way for years? I mean, thank you, Dee, for the super chat. Thank you. And they held this man, they never held him accountable all this time for what he was doing. And I done seen, just locally watching the news, I done seen four black people, different black people, that said they have been harassed by this guy for years. And he will do, you saw how he just walked up and knocked on that door. They said that's how he's been doing it for years. You're in your house minding your business and he pulling up on you. So of course, now that the story has exploded, oh, he's sorry. Oh, we need to move forward. No, nobody's going to move forward. You need to be held accountable. I don't know if I can stay around somebody that's just harassing the neighborhood. At some point in time, see, those cops, they are trying to distance themselves from him now. See, he done outed the cops to the point where they're being questioned. Wait a minute, you knew about this guy and you never did anything? So the cops did acknowledge people did call the police on him, but they never acted on it. So those cops are being looked at real closely too, to find out what the hell is going on. Why did you ignore all of these complaints that were coming in? And it was not just the cops. The condo association, they did the same thing. They knew about him and they just kept ignoring it. See, now the cops and the associations, they're all coming forward, all with this concern because it has made the news. Prior to the news, they weren't acting like that. They were completely unconcerned. So I think his relationship with the police is going to dramatically change because those cops got outed. And they don't like that. They got outed. But I wanted y'all to see when he walked out of that house surrounded by cops, you see they threw water, they threw ice, they threw bottles, they threw everything at them. And I wasn't feeling bad for those cops. And I agree. If they would have done their job, then maybe all of this stuff would not have happened. And then if you saw in the previous video, he was talking about he was drug dealing and the cops knew about it and they never bothered him. You see, the DA is looking at all that stuff now. So we'll see what the outcome is. Since I'm local, I'll probably be able to find out. He should be getting arraigned in a few days. Now, after the police left with him, y'all, his house was vandalized. And I think the neighbor's house on the other side of him, that one got vandalized too. So, I don't know. I don't know how he's going to be safe in that area anymore. Everybody knows who he is. He's got a recognizable face and they know what he did. So I got one more video I'm going to show you. All right. Let me share my screen again. Okay.
Tensions flare. Chaos erupts in South Jersey after a man is caught on camera calling his neighbors racial slurs. what the suspect is now telling NBC 10 and the message being sent from protesters. Dangerous heat. Temperatures are rising again today, and we are also tracking the threat of storms. We're going to break down the timing for you. And a new struggle for shoppers. Some people are caught off guard by Philadelphia's plastic bag ban. What you need to know so that you don't get caught in the same situation. Those stories and a whole lot more on today's edition of The Lineup for Tuesday, July 6th, 2021.
The Lineup is brought to you by TD Bank, America's most convenient bank.
Hi, I'm NBC 10's Lucy Bustamante. I'm Erin Coleman. Let's get you up to speed with what you need to know today. And we begin with the dangerous heat and also the severe storms that are coming a little bit later. So let's go to NBC 10 meteorologist.
All right, I don't want this. Hold on. Let me see if I can refresh it because it's not the original video that was here before. So let me just refresh. Okay, here we go. This is it.
Maintains he is not a racist, but more on that in a little bit. Tonight, it's a little more peaceful here, thankfully, in this neighborhood in Mount Laurel. But just for some perspective, this all started
over. All right, hold on, y'all. I'm going to start it over.
Viral video where a man said race.
All right, stop buffering here. All right, let me see if I can refresh this. Hold on one second. I'm gonna, oh, why is it doing this? The other one played just fine. What the hell?
Jim, he tells us tonight that he maintains he is not a racist, but more on that in a little bit. Tonight, it's a little more peaceful here, thankfully, in this neighborhood in Mount Laurel. But just for some perspective, this all started with a viral video where a man said racist things to his neighbor, but that man also said his address in that video and said, "Come mess with me." Well, protesters came. This was how Cagney Mathews' day ended. Carried out of his home by Mount Laurel police officers as protesters pelted him with anything they could get a hand on. But this was not how the day began. This morning, protesters gathered on Mathews' lawn, enraged over multiple social media videos intended to be shared that went viral.
Keep backing up! Back up! Don't touch me! Keep backing up! Don't touch me!
In this one, you could hear Mathews repeatedly hurl racial slurs at a black neighbor. Folks in the community say it was a pattern.
People out here because they're angry. People saw the video. They saw another incident where someone felt they could say the most horrible thing you can say to a black person, and there would be no repercussions.
I have no right to speak to anybody using the words that I did. It was wrong.
We got a chance to speak with Mathews about an hour before he was ultimately taken into custody. He told me he lost his composure. He regrets his words and maintains he's not a racist. Looking at that video, many of the things that you said were pretty ugly racial slurs.
I did not mean this. It was a lapse of judgment at a moment at my weakest point, and my anger got the best of me.
In the end, police arrested him, took him into custody, charging Mathews with bias intimidation. But he and several officers were hit by the crowd in the process.
Ultimately, it worked, but many of my officers were sprayed with mace, hit with bottles, sticks.
Riot police then moved in to try and disperse the 100+ people there. Some threw bricks, rocks, and trash at his home.
We got some type of justice today.
Neighbor Ashley Gibbons says she and her mom were harassed by Mathews, and she doesn't buy his remorse.
It was coming to him. It was coming to him, and I have no regrets of what happened today.
Now, police say they've actually received multiple complaints against Mathews in the past. In fact, they've actually investigated him several times before. The police chief noted he was charged with harassment just last Friday, but not put behind bars. Mathews tonight will be spending the evening in Burlington County Jail. From Mount Laurel, Danny Freeman, NBC 10 News.
Tense day out there, Danny. Thank you.
Okay, y'all. So these are two local videos from Philadelphia stations, which are the closest to where we are. So he's now trying his best to apologize. It's the fakest apology ever. You know, right now, if you said, okay, I forgive you, he would go right back to doing what he was doing before. And so we'll see. You know, the DA is saying there's more charges coming. His arraignment should be in a few days. So I'm going to try to keep up with this story and follow the arraignment and see what they say to him in court. So, because he talked about drug dealing and somebody getting shot and all this, and the police looking the other way. They knew he was dealing drugs. I mean, this guy, nobody had to incriminate him. And I don't believe anybody can incriminate him better than he incriminated himself. For real. Thank you, Brandon, for the super chat. Yeah. So, you know, they allowed him, and I agree with you, Brandon. He was running amok. And see, he let his white privilege get the best of him. That's what he did. He let it get the best of him. And, you know, look, it had to come to an end. It did. I mean, everything they do is going to eventually come to an end. And for him, this was the time for it to come to an end. And yeah, the police department, oh yeah, they are being questioned by the DA on why they let this guy get away with this for so many years. They knew who he was. In fact, if you go watch the first video that hit the internet, the cop addressed him by his name. So they knew who he was. They knew him well. They knew him well enough to address him by his name. So I think he might be telling the truth about how the cops knew him and they just looked the other way. I think he was telling the truth about that. But I'm not about to listen to his crocodile tears, y'all. I ain't falling for that. I'm falling for the crocodile tears. Okay. So I'm going to get into the story that came out locally on this. And this is the Burlington County Times. And this newspaper covers Mount Laurel. All right. So this is the most recent update. A biased crime suspect arrested at his home after hours-long protest of anti-racism demonstrators was pelted with bottles as police removed him from his home Monday evening. Well, like I said, I don't have no concern about that, because if the police was not helping him out, then, you know, as far as I'm concerned, they're lucky it was just bottles and water and stuff like that. It could have been far worse. Some also toss large bottles of police, you know, at the police officers who cares? The arrest was shortly after 7 p.m. and was the second since Friday for Mathews, who was accused by neighbors of engaging in racial incidents that date back at least 4 years. 4 years! He has been harassing Black people in that complex for 4 straight years. And nothing was ever done up until that video hit the internet and the news picked it up. 4 years. Can you imagine those neighbors living around him and dealing with being harassed for 4 straight years? That's outrageous. Yes, 4 years he's been doing this. Okay. On Friday, Mathews, 45, was charged with harassment and bias intimidation after a resident on the 3800 block of Gramercy Way reported he was continuously harassing her. That was the woman that didn't want to be seen on camera. She said he was continuously harassing her every time he saw her. That's crazy. You know, you may say to yourself, why would, if he hate Black people, Why do he want to live around Black people? Because he feels empowered. He feels like he is a white man and you are Black. You can't do nothing to stop him. That's why. It may sound crazy, but look at this man. He's bald, he's fat, he's not attractive. He don't have nothing going for himself. But this fakery they came up with as skin color being superior, although they burn out in the sun, we know their skin ain't superior. They age faster than everybody on the damn earth, and they burn in the sun. How the hell is that superior, right? So he feels empowered around Black people because he feels like Black people are less than him. So he obviously had nothing going for himself, so he was getting off on messing with these Black people. Now, to us, that don't make sense. Why don't you go live with other white people? But for him, he was having a good time messing with them Black folk. He was. He was. But at the end of the day, he's the one that feels less than. He does, because you wouldn't go around doing stuff like that if you weren't feeling that way. He ain't feeling good about himself. That man ain't looking in the mirror and feeling good about himself. Trust me, he's not. Okay. The charges against Mathews are merely allegations. He has not been convicted of any crime related to this case. A Superior Court judge on Friday allowed Mathews to be released on a summons, refusing a prosecutor's request that he be held on a warrant. So he still got to appear for his arraignment. I'm going to definitely see if I can find out when he's going to be arraigned. Mathews was arrested on new charges shortly after 7 p.m. and held in a Burlington County jail. The new charges, which also related to bias offenses, were filed after investigators reviewed additional videos that showed alleged abuse of Black residents by Mathews. Friday's arrest came after a video was widely circulated on social media showing Mathews shouting racial slurs and offensive language at his neighbors. And he didn't even turn it off. After the cops came, he was still heavily using the N-word. After the cops came, and he was doing it right in front of the cop. Thank you, R, for the super chat. Thank you so much. Okay, let me get back to this. Okay, Mount Laurel police described the video as disturbing in a Facebook post. Neighbors, though, are unsatisfied with the police response, saying this wasn't the first time Mathews has caused problems with his neighbors. If you do your research, this guy has been harassing many people in that complex, said Marcus Selby. That was the man that was talking in the video. You saw him talking. So he's the president of the Southern Burlington NAACP. If you have a repeat offender, and this is a hate crime, and I think it's a hate crime, I really do, we need to stop giving people lollipops, repercussions, and an example needs to be made out of this person. The police did not help me. So, yeah, a lot of the Black residents were saying how those Mount Laurel cops have not helped anyone except for, Mathews by not doing anything to him. So they said, this one woman said she was harassed by him in 2017. The harassment started in 2017. That's when it began. Mount Laurel's police department on Monday said it was actively investigating other incidents involving this suspect. So they are asking people to call the hotline. They got a hotline listed here for tips on this incident. So In one video, Mathews can be seen loudly taunting a younger black man at the door of his home, repeatedly using racial slurs and refusing to leave until the police arrive. In the video, which has been shared widely online, Mathews yells at the man, "Come see me," then states his full home address. Now, another thing I want to tell y'all, that man that he was bucking up against, he didn't actually live at that home. He saw him heading towards that condo, and he tried to prevent him from bothering those people. So that's what he actually did. But he didn't live, he lives in the complex, but not at the apartment that you saw him in front of arguing with Mathews. Evelyn Dunlap, thank you so much for the super sticker. So he don't live there, but he was protecting the people that live there from him. And Mathews was going over there to start with the husband in the house. I mean, this dude is bold, for real. So when he put his address out, the protesters took his ass up, and they showed up and kept coming and coming and coming and coming. Okay, until there was well over 100. He's an elite, entitled white supremacist, and that's why he thought he could give his address with no consequences. This is what Angeline Dean of Mount Laurel, who joined the protests outside of Mathews' home. The protesters repeatedly taunted Mathews from the outside of his home, with police officers from Mount Laurel and other towns also drawing criticism as they stood in front of his porch. "We just need to support each other," said Corey DeGree, who traveled from New Brunswick for the protest. "People need to know that when these things happen, there are consequences." Yeah, and you know what? Black folks are going to have to be the ones putting the consequences on these people, because you can see law enforcement sure isn't going to do it. You know, they're not going to step in and stop this man from harassing Black people when you don't like Black people yourself. So why would they step in? And they didn't until they got outed. So just look at it this way. He got outed, and so did the police department. They got outed too. Okay, so residents in South Jersey town and beyond started showing up at Mathews' home on Monday. "I'm here to stand up for young Black people that are always getting attacked, mostly by white men," said protester, one of the protesters, okay? "I came out here to try to make a difference," added her friend. "Even though it takes forever, the more we do it, the better." So nobody got arrested, you know, out in front of the house. The police did not arrest anybody, but you know what? It would have looked bad if they did. And I think that's why nobody got arrested, even after they threw all the water and everything on them. They didn't do nothing because they knew it would have been a bad look grabbing on Black people when you let this guy run amok all through the community harassing Black folk. So this is the local newspaper. And like I said, it's going to give a lot more detail that the national newspaper won't give. So I'm thinking his arraignment will be towards the end of the week. So as soon as I find out, I'll either, if I can get a hold of the arraignment video, I'll show that. If not, then I'll go over the arraignment with you in the local newspaper. They should definitely have his arraignment, because look, this thing has gone nationwide now. They can't hide what they've done. They can't, you know? So that's why I was like, this police chief is full of crap. Oh, we won't tolerate hate. Yeah, yes, you did. You tolerate hate for 4 years from this dude. What the hell are you talking about? Yeah, I figured it was going to be at the end of the week, Jasmine. Thank you so much. So I'm gonna be watching that, and I'll give you more updates on the arraignment. Well, look, at least those folks got a little bit of peace. He's not there, so they're getting a little bit of peace. But you know what? He ain't gonna never feel comfortable in that condo again. And you know what? Y'all think about this. He claimed he was dealing drugs, right? Why do you live in a complex around a bunch of black people and you're a white drug dealer? Shouldn't you be living a little more higher up on the hog? Well, he must be a low-level drug dealer. You know, if you got it like that, shoot, he should be able to live in locations where there's no black people, right? He's living in a condo complex with a bunch of black folks, and he's a drug dealer. He ain't much of a drug dealer. That's all I got to say. Yeah, John, thank you so much for the super chat. He was saying he was drunk, not a racist. Yeah, I heard all that crap too. That man is a racist, okay? So he must have been drunk an awful lot because he done encountered, they said, damn near every black person that live in that complex he have confronted. So he must really be drowning in liquor then. That man wasn't drunk. He is just saying anything he can think of to get out of this whole thing. Shoot, I've seen black drug dealers living better than him. I mean, seriously, who is he selling to? 2 people? Yeah. But, you know, he's doing what we have seen historically. You know, they'll be on their racist high, and then when they get busted, shame comes over them. But this dude ain't ashamed. He knows that, you know, I guess the cops don't have his back like he thought, right? So now he is sitting and waiting for his arraignment, and those cops that he claimed had his back, they ain't gonna go in that courtroom and defend him. Those cops ain't gonna do it. He's toxic now. They ain't gonna go nowhere near him. Yeah, you know what? You bring up a good point. You bring up a good point about him losing weight. Yeah, you're right. He, instead of focusing on black people, he should have focused on his health. Look like it'll take him a good year or 2 to get all that weight off. I don't think they're going to go near him because the police department is getting a lot of bad publicity for ignoring the calls from those black residents. So I don't think they're going to be around him anymore, you know, because, you know, they know it's a lot of bad publicity. A lot of people are dragging the police on this matter. So if they are, they would have to keep it on the down low because a lot of people are finger pointing at Mount Laurel police around here for not doing their job. Yeah, well, I'm sure those folks will brilliant. Yeah, I think he's going to leave too. I don't believe he's going to be comfortable where he is anymore. See, now, you know, those black folks done got the upper hand on him. He ain't gonna feel comfortable about that. So yeah, I can see him leaving or being advised to leave the area and not stay there. I think that's what he'll try to do. Yeah, that's why I'm saying, Jasmine, you're right. They were at the police department protesting today. That's true. That's why I'm saying I don't think those cops are going to go near him no more because a lot of people are pissed off at the police. That Mount Laurel police, yeah, they're getting dragged real bad. But look, they're not the only one. There's a lot of these police departments that won't do nothing to their own, that they know they're out here doing unruly things, and they won't touch them. This is just one example of it. You can best believe there's more like him out there doing it, and they think it's funny. See, that's why they didn't do nothing, because see, when they do stuff like that to us, they think it's funny. They think it's a joke. They're having fun. Okay, so if I beat your ass, is that fun too? You know, but that's what they consider it, having fun. That man wasn't drunk, y'all. He was not drunk. Okay, you go back and listen to that video. His words are not slurring. He wasn't stumbling around. None of that. He's just using the alcohol as hoping that somebody will believe he was doing that and not in his right mind. That man is lying. He's lying. He was not drunk. He knew exactly what he was doing and exactly what he was saying. So if you're going to blame the alcohol, then what are you saying? For 4 straight years, he didn't know what he was doing? Come on, I don't believe that. I don't believe that. Thank you, Catch 630, for becoming a new member. Thank you. Okay, I mean, come on. 4 years and he didn't know what he was doing. It was the alcohol. Come on, that's not even believable. Yeah. But see, that's why he was not in fear of the police showing up. He was talking all tough on that video, wasn't he? He was talking all tough. Oh, he was telling the black people, the cops ain't gonna listen to you. You're black. You're black. They're not gonna listen to you. Oh, when that mob showed up, they were listening, weren't they? Uh-huh. They couldn't ignore your ass no more. Well, that's why they act the way that they do, because there has not been enough accountability. It hasn't been enough in this society. And that's why so many of them are so empowered and do what they do. They'll come to your job, hang a noose and all that crazy shit, because there's never been no real consequences for them. Oh, you better believe it, Brother Sly. It sure was a pull-up day for him. I knew that was going to happen when I was like, this man is doxing himself. He's giving out his information and dared someone to come over there to his house and mess with him. And didn't they all show up? Didn't they all show up? Well, he really believed that his white privilege was going to prevent anybody from coming over there, and it just simply didn't work. Mm-hmm. But I can tell you the local newspaper is not writing anything about him being drunk. They're not even touching that. No, see, when we come together and work collectively together, it does make a difference. It does make a difference. It's just like that army guy that was picking on that black guy that was just walking past his house. And you saw him and his family ran the hell up on out of the house when all them black folks showed up. Trust me, it makes a difference. And this is the way it should be. The victim should not be the one feeling insecure. No, the perpetrator should be feeling that. You do that to the perpetrator. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. But it just go to show you There is power in numbers when we show up together. And we've seen this multiple times, and it does work. And I'm glad our people went to his place and not just marched out in the streets with signs, because that's not effective. You got to be in their face like these folks did. That's the way you got to do it. I mean, marching with signs in the middle of the street, that nobody cares about that. And you're not reaching anybody by doing that. But you show up at his front door, he can't ignore you then. He can't act like you're not there. Well, I sure hope the DA don't let that go. They look into his background. You drug dealing and the cops look the other way. Okay, we're going to investigate that. Yeah. Yeah. You know what? You just think about it. When you saw him in those interviews on the videos that I showed you, just the moment those black crowds showed up, he broke immediately. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm not a racist. I don't know. I was having a bad, I just, I let my anger get the best of me. Okay. He broke immediately. You saw how fast he broke? He broke just in the instance of seeing a crowd of black people. He broke. No, I mean, look, I hope he never have a peaceful day now that his face is recognizable everywhere. I hope he never have another peaceful day in his life. I really do. That's what I wish on him. Yeah. I mean, like I said, this is the way you do it. Now they can't ignore you. He did. He was all on the video. I apologize. Oh, well, nobody's trying to hear you now. The damage is done. The damage is done. So everybody, I'm going to go ahead and conclude right now. Thank you all for coming. Hi, Craig J. Thank you all for coming. And we'll definitely do this again. Like I said, I'm going to listen out for the arraignment locally, and I'll try to keep you up to date on this story. So if there's any more changes or more charges or anything. Yeah, that's what I was saying, Anthony. He doxed himself. He gave his information out himself. Like I said, he thought his white supremacy was so, he was a shoo-in with it that nobody was going to mess with him. I'm a white guy in America. Here's my address. Come F with me. Come on. That was the dumbest move he could have made by doing that. You think people weren't going to show up? Of course they're showing up. Yes, they are. All right, y'all, please enjoy the rest of your day wherever you are. We're going through another heat wave in my area until Thursday. So all I can do is stay under the AC. That's it. So until next time, shalom, family.